We'll be tracking the exit polls tomorrow as an early predictor of the election. Joining me to explain how polls are done and about their reliability is Richard Hofstetter, professor of political science at San Diego State University. Thank you so much for joining us. Richard, how are polls conducted in a way that they're trying to be fair?
Well, traditional polls done by major companies who do them correctly involve statistical sampling, involve interviewing and design factors, and also analysis, and those need to come together. They try to be as objective as they can because they're usually commercial exercises, and the poll results are advertising for them as well as public good.
Advertising for their accuracy.
For their company, yes.
But the suspicion is, of course, that political parties actually kind of weigh these polls in their favor. Is that true?
The parties do, yes. They interpret the polls, and, you know, campaigns are contests, and each side is trying to win in each campaign, and so they release information which may be true, but it's released selectively, typically.
So in the way they're conducted fairly, but perhaps in the way they're interpreted. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, and the reason for the objectivity of them is simply because these are companies, and their commercial fate depends on how accurate the poll is.
All right. Let's look at three separate recent polls for San Diego's mayor race. The first is from San Diego Metro Magazine, and it finds mayoral candidates DeMaio and Filner nearly tied with 18% undecided. But a UT San Diego poll found DeMaio was ahead by 10%, while a poll survey USA for Channel 10 News gave Filner a 7% lead with an undecided vote of 13%, not 18%. How could there be three different, separate polls all around the same time with such different results?
Well, we'd have to ask a number of questions. We'd have to ask what their samples were, when the polls were done. We'd have to see the questions to evaluate them in terms of whether or not they're loaded in one direction or another, and a number of other factors of that kind. And that's typically not released in the press. Is
that a discrepancy, that those 10% or 7% even, those discrepancies seem more than the plus or minus 3% that you expect?
They are. And they're probably due to the design of the survey itself. How many people refuse? Typically in a large-scale survey, say in the state of California, about 20% participate of those contacted. Well, the question is, what 20% are those?
Maybe the activists, maybe the people who are more active,
well, precisely, yeah, more interested.
Okay.
And are they weighted to the population in some sense?
Okay.
So
let's talk about cell phones, though. I understand that a lot of these surveys, they're called on their cell phones, and a lot of people have their cell phones as a primary phone, as their primary phone number. How would that impact a poll?
Well, in the United States, about 34% are now cell phone only. That's a large proportion. And these people tend to be younger. Many immigrants to the United States have cell phones. They tend to be more educated. And those people are different than others. And so there are built-in population biases to that, to a certain extent. Now, a good survey firm will try to correct that statistically by weighting and other procedures.
So for the average voter, would it be better to look at a whole bunch of different polls and sort of do an average or a trend?
It would certainly be better to compare different polls.
Could you get a good reading, though, say they're about neck and neck, or that they're about 5% off? No. You really couldn't.
No, there's statistical error, and that's statistical error in any survey. If the survey is right on the money, that's luck. If we anticipate the survey to be off 3 or 4%, and if we're talking about electoral contests where, it's 1 or 2% separating the candidates, there's no way to predict accurately.
Let's talk about exit polls. How are they done, and are they accurate? I should say any more accurate than the polls before the election.
Well, they're accurate for what they are.
Okay.
Whether you want to project that to a larger population is a different question, different issue. exit polls are typically done by selecting certain precincts within election districts which have a history of a partisan vote being given to one side or the other at a certain level. And what the exit poll analyses typically do is look at the discrepancies and the patterning of discrepancies in partisan contests across the various exits.
So they know going in that there is a discrepancy at a polling site, and that's why they choose that polling site?
Well, no, that what they're looking at, yeah, they do know that it's more Republican or more Democrat or evenly split. But what they're really looking at is there a general trending toward the Republicans or the Democrats across the polls, and if there are, what particular groups are associated with them.
All right. So what about the prediction? I've heard that you can predict the presidential outcome pretty accurately from exit polls. Is that true?
Well, the votes are cast by the time you get the exit polls. It depends, again, most presidential elections are pretty close. This one, you know, appears to be, by all intents and purposes, very close. And there is statistical error in exit polls as well.
All righty. We are unfortunately out of time. Political science professor Hofstetter, thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.